everyone. This is a Leadership with Heart podcast, and this is Heather Younger, your host. Employee experience is powered by emotions. Managers and or leaders within organizations get to choose which emotions they unleash from within the people they lead. Leaders, meaning supervisors or above in an organization, drive much of the positive or negative emotions by their actions or inactions, their words, or what they fail to say. When a manager chooses their words and their actions carefully, they exhibit great emotional intelligence. These managers are often thought of as leaders who care, or as I like to call them, leaders with heart. This special brand of leader drives engagement and loyalty simply by being themselves. Are these leaders perfect? Absolutely not. It is in their awareness and sharing of some of their imperfections that we realize their brilliance. In this podcast, I ask you to see yourself in the stories my guests tell about times when they were not the best versions of themselves, but how they used their hearts to guide them to a place of deeper connection with their teams and heightened leadership prowess. Enjoy.
Hello, thank you for joining the Leadership with Heart podcast. Today, you can hear I have a little bit of a cold, and I'm joining you from the Windy City, Chicago, at a conference called No Longer Virtual. And I want to share with you some of the main things that have come past over my mind in the last couple days. One of them being, I was speaking to a group of people yesterday, and we talked about this idea of imposter syndrome. Us sitting in the middle of places, maybe as leaders at the leadership table, any kind of other meeting where we're sitting there going, how the heck did we get here? Do we even belong here? And so the day before I came here, I was preparing to speak to a group of people at this meetings industry council. It was meeting planners for the very first time. And I was gifted to be able to do that. There were 9 speakers selected. And I will post some pictures of that in the show notes. It was a really interesting setup. It's called Theater in the Round. And so there's people surrounding you and you're in the middle. And the day before I went in there, I was super duper nervous because I was feeling like I looked out and there were other speakers who probably were speaking for a lot longer than I was. And I was feeling a little judged. And that wasn't because of them. That was because of me. Again, that imposter the person that was on my shoulder going, you're not good enough. You don't belong here. It's kind of the thing that has pervaded my life, right? Knowing my story of being an outsider in my own home, feeling like I didn't belong, feeling like I wasn't good enough, explaining my past and who I was. I had to get to the point where it was like, I have to use my voice to help others who may be feeling the same thing. And part of my talk on the stage was about that, and I felt very compelled to tell it and convicted to do it. But the day before I went into the practices, I felt that way. I went home, I prepared quite a bit more. And I also prepared my mind mentally to move into this place where I knew I did belong, that I was put on this earth to uniquely deliver the message I was going to deliver. I went in the next morning, my nerves were completely gone. When it was time for me to speak, I had a little bit of nerves, but not so much that I felt like my legs were going to fall from underneath me, which does happen sometimes as a speaker. So I walked up and I immediately spoke, and I just felt more confident. And I felt like when I stood there, the story that I was talking about with belonging was really coming to heart. So part of the thing I want to talk to you about when we think of leadership and we're sitting around that table, maybe the leadership table with other executives or managers, and we're in a manager meeting and all those other managers, sometimes we look at people and go, dang, that person is seriously smart, or that person is really sharp. And we're sizing up these people in a way that minimizes us. And as leaders with heart, we know that we're human and we're going to have this journey of kind of up and down. So expect that to happen. But know that you were uniquely put on this earth to give the message, to be the person, to represent your own constituency, whoever that might be, right, in your own way, and that you do belong there and that you are good enough. So here are some ways as that leader with heart that you can bring people into your fold, because there are people, I guarantee you, around the leadership table, in the meetings, even if it's employees that are not, frontline employees that don't have managerial responsibility, for you to bring them into the fold, for them to not feel small around you, and then for them to feel included. So one of them is just that. Embracing people, whether physically, by like hugging them or bringing them in by putting your arm around them and bringing them into a circle physically, or with your eyes and your words, bringing them into that circle so that they know that they do belong, that they are included. The other thing is making sure that if you have meetings or if you're thinking about leadership strategy sessions, often we limit who are in those sessions. It drives me bonkers because what happens is when those sessions, when your team sees you go in, or when people and employees in the organization see the leaders go into these meetings and these retreats, and then they come out, it's like, ooh, ah. But the problem is there's also fear that comes from that. You may not realize it if you are an executive leader especially. You may not realize the fear that circles around private meetings inside the organization. And so minimizing those or doing something even bigger, creating a communication cadence that communicates all the time what happens in those meetings. So not everybody can be in those meetings. Work has to get done, right? But including them and letting them know what came out of those. Hey, there was an executive retreat that happened over the last 2 days. Here are the main highlights of what we talked about, and here are the impacts to our business. That is a way to show that you're including other people, that there isn't anything to be fearful about. There is, people, a power structure in organizations. Whether we try to make them more human, we try to bring them down more, there is still fear and divisiveness that happens quite a bit inside of the power structure. And I'm not saying it's going away. I know it's there. What I'm saying is inside of that hierarchy, produce more open windows where people can see through, they can listen through, and they can feel connected. And they can feel like in all of it, they belong, that they are a part of something big. And they don't have to feel like aliens when you walk in the room. They don't have to look at you like you're above them. So just recently, I put a post out there about this because it drives me absolutely bonkers when people call me expert and thought leader and influencer and all of these things. Sure, I do influence people, but guess what? So do you and every single other person on this planet. We all get to choose who we influence and how we influence. And if we walk away with leaving someone feeling like they are an outsider, making them feel like they are less than us, we have not been that leader with heart. And we have not accomplished, I'm quite sure, what it was we were put on this earth to do. So that's my message for you today. I know that you and I will all at some point in this journey feel like we aren't good enough, that we are imposters at a table full of amazing people. But know that you are uniquely positioned to be exactly where you're at, to deliver the exact messages, and to touch the hearts and minds of those you lead. I just wanted to leave that with you today. Sit on that message. And thank you so much for being here, for supporting this community. And please don't forget to share this and to write reviews on Apple Podcast or Spotify, wherever you listen, so that other people can know about the show. Next week, I'm going to be interviewing somebody quite amazing that took me by storm here at this conference. I'm super excited about her perspective, and I think she's going to produce some real innovative concepts in this Leadership with Heart community. Thank you so much for joining, and take care.
Thank you for listening to the Leadership with Heart podcast. You can grab the show notes by visiting customerfanatics.com. And don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter.